Horror Deconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's Horror Deconstruction. You can find us at horrordeconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/horrordeconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehorrordeconstruction with your host, Compan.
Flappy McVicker.
And it's Bad Movie Month. Our third film for the entry of this horrendous month is...
Leprechaun in Space.
Leprechaun 4 in Space. They didn't even call it Leprechaun... Oh, is it Leprechaun 4? Yeah, it's called Leprechaun 4 in Space. Jesus. Yeah. Not even Leprechaun in Space. Directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. It's from 1996. It's about our deadly leprechaun is in space to woo a beautiful princess who is impressed with his gold and desires to separate him from it, which is baloney.
This is the same guy that did the third one, which is like, I love the third one.
I enjoyed the third one. If I remember, we had a good time watching it, and his dance after he sawed that guy in half.
Yeah, oh, I love that part.
And the serial killer boyfriend to the girl. Stars Warwick Davis, obviously, as the titular leprechaun. Brent Jasmer as Brooks, who's the, I guess, like, the Kyle Rayner of Terminator if he had cerebral palsy. There's Jessica Collins, who has a very smoochable face. She looks like she's out of Days of Our Lives, and she is. Cute blonde. Guy Siner, who's probably the best character in the film, Dr. Mittenhand.
He's got such a creepy face.
Dr. Mittenhand?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is makeup. I'm not sure. Anyway, Danny, how do we start this film off? What happens in this pile of garbage?
Boy. Well, it starts with the kidnapping of Princess Zarina, if I'm correct, right?
No, we see fantastic PlayStation 1 special effects of space ships flying through outer space with horrendous graphics. We meet the...
You don't think the CGI in this movie is amazing?
Yes, if you add the word Lee bad, yeah, amazingly bad. That shrink
ray thing, the growing of the finger, I thought that was great.
All I know is that...
I thought I was really there.
All I know is when I saw the Trimark logo with the lion, or is it a lion instead of a triangle, a pyramid, I knew it was going to be bad business because I've seen those terrible movies before.
That and the straight-to-video.
Anyway, we meet our usual group of grunts who are these kind of space marines. They're trying to make this Aliens 2 with 1/15 of the budget. Mm-hmm. And they're all pretty forgettable. The only actor I really recognize besides Warwick Davis is Miguel Nunez, who plays DJ in the Street Fighter, the live-action movie. That's a great movie. Anyway, so we meet all these space marines, whatever. And then, I like the lieutenant. There's only 3 characters that I really give a shit about in this film. The leprechaun, the sergeant with the half a metal plate in his head.
Right.
Who, like, if you could watch his forehead, maybe you can catch the crew filming him. Because it's really reflective.
Did you?
No, I don't know. I didn't care enough. I was like, you know what? If I don't look at this, would this really be the worst aspect of this movie?
Right.
And there's Dr. Mittenhand, who plays this German psychopathic half cyborg man doctor scientist. Pretty amazing. So we meet these. Why don't they just call this like Cleopatra 2525 the movie or something? You know, it's just like that.
What I like is the ultimate insult of Princess Zarina's race is to show boobs.
Yeah, I think because they're really small, but you know they're not that bad. You know, I'm.
And they're glittery.
Small. Yeah, apparently in outer space, like her family, Princess Zarina is this poor, kidnapped royal from her people. What would they call the
I don't
scenes
know.
or some shit like that? Anyway, her people are poor, I guess, and she got kidnapped by the leprechaun. But I guess the biggest insult is to have her breast shown to you as a death sentence. Mm-hmm. And not that it does anything, it's just like the biggest insult. And then also, I guess the only thing they can really afford is body glitter in that planet. Anyway.
Yeah. But I think that's the way their skin really is.
Do you remember how the leprechaun was summoned in the other films? I don't remember, really.
There's a lot of different versions of it.
The first one, I think they steal his gold and he just kind of appears, right? For some reason, I was going to say...
At one point, he's like turned into a sculpture, and then the sculpture comes alive somehow. I don't really remember.
Yeah, but I guess in here, he's kind of already there. It starts out with a really embarrassing scene with him trying to force his rape culture upon this... I'm just kidding. He's trying to force his... Although I will say, you know when he's talking normal to her? Because if we start out with Princess Zarina...
He's kind of suave.
He is. He's very suave. He's very... if he... I'm sure if he talked enough, he can get some of that space pussy.
I mean, he could make himself look like an attractive human.
But he doesn't, right? I think he's got enough pride.
Yeah, but I mean, he has no problem dressing up as the Tina girl, and then in her voice, I wrote down the quote. She says, "Oh, thank you, thank you. You saved my life."
And she's doing this to the camera, even though she was facing the camera the other way, which doesn't make any sense. Although we did get to see some nice back shot of her. She's quite
She's a nice back.
She's quite the smoochable young white girl. Although she did kind of never mind. So what's the point of this movie, Danny?
I don't really know. They're okay. They're in space, like Marines on a mission, whatever. And then Leprechaun wants to kidnap Princess Zarina so that he can be king of her home planet, which I can't remember what it's called already. And meanwhile, there's this crazy doctor that wants to grow back his body because he's like half robot.
And apparently the princess's DNA allows that to happen.
And regenerate, yeah.
There is a mishap in the beginning of the film when they're trying to do this rescue mission. Apparently the leprechaun is, I guess he was stealing or ransacking these
he just wants his gold.
It's basically they took a cue from Avatar years before they actually shot Avatar, where these Marines are trying to stop somebody from fucking with their gold mine, which I guess a corporation paid them to send these Marines in and catch whoever's been fucking with whoever.
Do you think there are like gold planets floating around? I bet there are.
I don't know, because you know what is people put wealth on gold and diamonds. You know, in real life you could find millions of diamonds, but
yeah, I never understood. Yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, they really are just rocks,
right? And inside shells or whatever. So anyway, we get to meet, I guess, our protagonist for the film, who is Tina, whatever. I don't know what her last name is.
Tina,
Tina
yes.
is played by Jessica Collins. Is blonde hair, too cute.
Reeves,
very
like
pretty girl.
Keanu Reeves.
She's not the greatest actress, but she's not the worst. And we're also saddled with Brent Jasmine, who plays Books. He kind of looks like a slightly off, could have been action hero, but doesn't, because he kind of looks like
attractive more.
He kind of looks like Sylvester Stallone.
If he lost weight and was like a little slower,
and he was gaunt, like really skinny, kind of like how he looked in Demolition Man inside the frozen case. You know that's what he looked like.
That's
anyway,
a good movie.
Yeah, apparently they butt heads a lot, but I guess the real way to have somebody attracted to you is to be on a ship, and then if it just jiggles a bit and you both close into the wall, then you like each other.
Then there's guaranteed an awkward kissing moment.
Yeah, because they're in a ship together, and like a second before they're kind of being antagonistic towards each other. The ship rattles a bit, and they bump into each other into the wall. This guy must have had a throbbing 10-inch like long in his pants or something, and it knocked into her. Because then she just automatically was, oh god, you know, that kind of look. I'm like, what the fuck is that about?
If you pan the camera down, you'll see that his erect penis is out, and she's holding it in her hand.
It was actually coming out of the bottom half of his pants, like it was literally coming.
But it was wearing body armor too. Yeah, like a special body armor.
It was that strong. So, how would you explain these characters? They're pretty much all forgettable.
They're like
core five,
the
right?
most generic Marine characters imaginable. They're like complete stereotypes of every action movie I've ever seen.
I like how in the beginning of the film, when they actually do the assault on Leprechaun's lair, it's like the shittiest rock formation background. I mean, I've seen better stuff on like Monster Man on Sci-Fi.
Do you know how I knew this was the worst movie I've ever seen, at least at the time?
Still, yeah. Oh, at the time, okay.
Yeah, is when Leprechaun starts shooting with a gun.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
He's a leprechaun. He can do magic.
I also like
he's ducking behind fucking boxes like in a shootout.
I know. I also like the part where he makes a lightsaber appear, and then it takes him 2 swings to cut off a guy's legs. Even though wouldn't lightsabers just knock off one at one time?
He doesn't even need the lightsaber. He could just do it with his finger.
This is a film that I think was a science fiction movie, and then they just erased whoever was the original bad guy, and then put the fucking leprechaun inside. Because it's like it doesn't make any fucking sense. There's no
scene with the sergeant as the Sergeant Hooker as the fucking the woman.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, we'll get to that. But here's the thing with this movie. This gave me super Vietnam-era flashbacks of Jason X, which is, to me, still is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. This is still better than Jason X, just because It's two completely different types of film. Like to take into the level of humor.
Right.
Freddy, you can get into it because his character is an asshole and he can be funny. So,
but Jason X isn't funny.
Right, Jason. Well, they're trying to be funny in that movie. There's only one joke in that movie that worked, where he takes one girl in a sleeping bag and beats the other one with it to death. That's funny. The rest of it is horrible. Besides, the worst joke ever was some guy gets thrown onto a screw, and then they ask this other Marine who finds him and goes, "He's screwed." It's like that kind of bad jokes.
Oh,
anyway, but yeah, I guess a lot of horror films eventually go into space, but this one was pretty quick to it. Like Leprechaun 3 is in Las Vegas, and then suddenly in Part 4 he's in space. Same director too.
Well, this has like no connection to the other ones,
right? And there's no reason why Leprechaun's in space. I guess maybe the world. He's been alive so long that he's in the future now, but could have been a lot more Leprechaun adventures.
Or maybe he's in a galaxy far, far away.
Sure.
Like
Although those Star Wars films happened before our time, so I guess it was Battlestar Galactica.
But he's a leprechaun. He can travel in time. He just he could travel in time. He do all these things, but he needs to shoot a gun.
Yeah,
I guess behind boxes.
Even though he can make, and then also he makes a pair of handcuffs appear out of thin air, like. Mm-hmm. Handcuffs in the future? You couldn't think of something else? Like you couldn't turn the guy.
At least if it was like laser.
This is the character who made a woman inflate and explode, but he has to use a gun to shoot people.
He he's done all kinds of miraculous things. He came out of someone's penis. I mean, that's pretty
good. Because apparently, when they do first assault the leprechaun, because they find the girl there. The Princess Samora, whatever her fucking name is, they shoot the leprechaun to death. They throw a grenade, he blows up. It's pretty funny because I guess he sees the princess as his way out. It's almost like the leprechaun's the underdog because he just kind of wants his woman. You know, he's not that evil even though he's been stealing money. And,
usually he's like a double crosser. Like he'll lie to people, make deals with them, and then betray them. In this one, he doesn't really do that. He does a little bit, but no, he's much more like he just wants to get married and be a king.
And apparently this film has no rhyming scheme, because he usually rhymes at least once in his movies.
Right.
And this doesn't do it. Maybe I just didn't...
Well, he's doing haiku now.
That's what it is. When he's walking down a corridor, he says, "Time is luck as old as time," and he says some bullshit after that. It's pretty horrible. So anyway... what other movies went to space? Let's see. Jason went to space. It took him 10 movies to go to space, right?
Ghoulies, or is it Goonies, or no, not
Critters.
Goonies. Ghoulies.
Critters, I can understand because Critters came from
Critters,
outer space.
That's what it is. Okay.
Critters came from outer space. The only thing is, whenever you're in a space movie, it's automatically jumped in the future. It's not like the Bounty Hunters took them to space. It was like already in the future, right? I'm sure Hellraiser went to space. I'm pretty sure that happened.
Oh boy!
And I saw a piece of that. I was very sorry that I did. But whenever it goes to space, a horror franchise is wait till Halloween goes to outer space. Then you know
it's like Doom. Then.
Yeah. Oh my god! Don't even. Ugh, that was a horrible movie too. Anyway, so we're meeting other characters. Can you explain Dr. Mittenhand and his little henchman guy?
He's like kind of like a Nazi-esque kind of guy.
Yeah. First, we see him on a television screen, and he's kind of barking orders at everybody. He's very stereotypical German, like asshole character, but he's funny. I like him. His acting is good. Like he's probably the best actor in the movie to me.
Yeah.
And he's very stereotypical, very cartoonish, very.
I'm picturing like
hero.
Other ideas of horror, icons that could go to space. I'm picturing Captain Spaulding in space.
Oh God, right? He's just like
Reagan in space,
telling people about clowns, even though probably clowns have been extinct for hundreds of years and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that's horrible. What would be a great one? Jeepers Creepers in space. He's fucking all the young men in the anyway.
Hostel in space.
Yeah. Now you just see
the
Eli
space
Roth.
Hostel.
So anyway, Dr. Mittenhand has a little henchman who's kind of like the Smithers to Mr. Burns, I guess.
He's
in a way.
perverted.
He's very perverted. Although I thought he was homosexual at the beginning, because
maybe he's bi.
Could be. Well, good for him. Gets best of both worlds, like Hannah Montana. So he, I do like the part where he smelled the princess's feet, who's knocked out, because it's very funny.
I would have.
You want to explain the sergeant?
The sergeant is he's like Chet from
yeah. You're right.
He really reminded me of him. He's just like this idiot yelling all the time thing, and then eventually he becomes like a woman for no reason. Like,
yeah, apparently he's a cyborg or something. We find out later. Oh, spoiler! But the leprechaun can fuck with him so much that he actually has mistakes himself as a woman, and actually pretty funny. It's pretty funny sequence.
You found it funny? I found it cringeworthy.
No, I thought it was hard. I like the actor. I thought the actor was funny doing that. But the thing is, as a woman, that guy looks like Kathleen Turner now.
Come on.
You think he's sexier?
You know what
than
it reminds me of? It reminded me of on RuPaul's Drag Race. Sometimes they'll like make over, like a straight guy, like make him into a drag queen as part of a challenge or something, and he looked like this one particular guy that I believe it was Sharon Needles made over this guy who was like this big butch old Marine type of dude, and he looked like that.
Oh my god! I bet you 95% of those guys were just like, "Fuck yeah, now I'm free," and then they ran off on their wives and shit. Anyway, so we are reintroduced to the Leprechaun because this one hot Marine girl who has really nice makeup and hair and everything decides to get busy with the guy who pissed on the corpse of the leprechaun, which apparently used its green molecules to zap into his dick, even though the head was still elsewhere, smiling at the camera.
Yeah,
and decides to burst out of the guy's groin and attack her. I do like the part where she tries to flirt with the sergeant, and the sergeant kind of gives this bizarre look to her because he doesn't want to fuck her because she might be bad luck after all, even though she made.
Because he knows that he's a woman.
Maybe that's why.
He's not a lesbian. He's just a woman.
What do you think about the special effects? I think the special effects are
the practical.
No, the practical effects. I'm sorry,
are pretty cool. The CGI is fucking.
Guess who did the
CGI is like that Mortal Kombat movie, not the first one.
God,
not the live action one, but they have like a completely CGI one. It's terrible.
What do you mean the CGI one?
There's like a cartoonish, like a CGI animated Mortal Kombat movie.
Is that the one where all those Barakas, they use the same animation for Baraka running at the TV?
I don't remember. I just remember it's like the worst.
I thought you meant Mortal Kombat 2 because
it was like the second. It was like the second year of CGI existing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That one used like a one frame animation of Baraka running, and then they just multiplied the image, and it's the worst fucking graphics. Anyway, the special effects were done by the guy who directed Skin Deep. So that's our connection with Warwick Davis. He probably asked him on the time.
I see. Okay, cool.
Anyway, not cool. But the practical effects are really good. I already know I'm in trouble watching this. This is a part where the guys have to inspect something inside these biosuits. And oh man, the leprechaun slits open one of the suits and the guy gets contaminated. And by the time they grab him outside, they bring him outside. He's a skeleton, really shitty skeleton. Even though nobody else is really concerned now that this guy who's chemically obviously fucked up, they're just standing there. The girl is just talking.
Well, it was flesh-eating bacteria, they said.
Oh yeah, so he grabbed them out there, and they're still talking and being regular and shit. So
maybe the flesh-eating bacteria can only live in that one room.
Halfway towards the end, the Dr. Mittenhand, who's been using
Mitten spider.
Yeah, he turns into this awesome. I will give him that. It's a fucking amazing looking spider creature.
Yeah,
very very awesome practical effect. Giant spider monster. Is there any reason to have him in the film? No. I thought they were gonna go do like some Predator alien route where there's other aliens running around, but of course they didn't have the budget for it.
And then there's a character, Mooch, who is a mooch.
Who's he?
He's in the beginning. He mooches a cigarette, then he mooches matches. His name is Mooch.
Was that the smart character who says he wants to get the fuck out of there?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I get them all confused. The only one I really knew was Books and the main people, and then Danny, only because his name is Danny.
All I know is that after I watched this, literally half an hour later, I was playing like pool on Facebook, and I forgot about the whole movie. It's not that good. I remember the first time I ever saw any bit of this movie is when the Leprechaun. They of course plot devices. When you see something earlier in the film like this cheap, they'll bring it back later. It's not like one of those movies that really give a shit where they'll just say something incidentally and then it'll come back later, and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
No, the Wizard. You're talking about the Wizard?
Besides that, the shrinking gigantic ray, whatever the fuck that's called,
Right.
laser, that's shown, and it's like, okay, we know this is how the Leprechaun's gonna die, because Anyway, when I first saw the film on television, I just turned it on. There's two things: when the Leprechaun's this giant creature because he gets zapped by the ray because he was fucking around shooting.
But he can make himself giant anyway.
I was wondering, watching that scene when he's giant. Like, do you think he watches that at home and he's like drinking a thimble?
He's like jerking off to it.
He's like drinking a thimble of cognac, crying.
Right. He probably reenacts it. He probably has like his own people, like his own film crew, and he'll like have other people, like actors in it, and he'll do like a Godzilla type of thing. Like he'll be stomping on them like they're bugs.
Yeah, he'll be like Lord of the Rings, where he'll
just be like stroking his like unusually disproportionately large penis.
Yeah, I think don't like little people have bigger dongs because it's like, I don't know.
I think they just have normal sized ones, but it's like looks bigger on them.
All I know is
that makes me wish I was a midget.
The other part that had me laughing when I first saw it a while back, because I only caught the tail end of it, is when what the hell is her name? That girl, she's forgotten.
Tina Reeves.
Tina, when she's climbing through this, she's getting attacked by a spider monster now, and he pulls her pants off, so she's running on her black underwear, but it's not even like regular black panties. It's like
sexy ones.
It's like high cut, sexy underwear, but not like thongs. So it's kind of a leotard. And
imagine she's wearing like grandma panties.
and she's fairly hot throughout the movie, but she's kind of forgettable until like the last. I thought.
All of a sudden, she's like beating up the sergeant and stuff.
Maybe it's that big karate sequence where she beats up the sergeant is so out of place, and then when the other female character dies, she pulls the gun up and tries to be all tough. She goes, "Let's kill this son of a bitch." But,
how does she even know how to handle a gun?
Because it's a movie from outer space. The part where I thought she was a hot. Maybe it's because I'm attracted to fucking women that just are complete assholes to me. I don't know if that's a feminist patriarchal thing that I'm saying. Anyway, but the part when she was frustrated, not trying to put the codes in, and she was just completely angry, and I was like, man, that's kind of hot. So I just like to be abused by women. Anyway. I
liked Zarina's boobs in that scene. Like, if that was a death sentence kind of thing, like, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I wish there was more of
boobs.
Miguel Nunez, who plays Styx, the only black guy on the thing. Although I think he's Spanish, obviously, because Nunez.
They always have to have a black guy, and they have to have a woman in a Marines thing in outer space. It's like a rule.
But not a Spanish woman, which is very strange, because usually, like Aliens 2, it was Vasquez. And she has like the best line in the movie. She says, "Let's rock," and just starts shooting everybody. But Stakes was funny. I wish they actually had more of his character, because like I had a scene where these two white guys are dancing, and he's like, "They still can't dance in the future," and I'm like, "How would you say it's the future if you're in?"
It'd be cool if like Woody Harrelson came out and they did like White Men Can't Jump,
and then like Rosie Perez leaves him, even though he tried to get her on Jeopardy. So. What I understand, well, I guess there's a fuck up in there, because didn't he like he would be in that future as his present, right? Or am I thinking too much about it?
I think you're thinking too much.
Because we can't say like we'll see some guy like doing a shuffle and be like, "Ooh, he still can't dance. It's the future." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Although every minute is the future, Danny. Did you know that?
I did, yeah, I know. The beginning of this episode is the past.
What are good takeaways from this film? I mean, I think we explained it in a nutshell.
Well, I mean, what the Leprechaun as it is, I like it because it is just so completely bad.
I enjoyed it a little bit better than Skin Deep. It's still a bad movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it better than Skin Deep too.
But it's a funnier movie.
I mean, I don't know if I told you the story privately or on here, but yeah, this movie. When I showed it to my friends, because we like watch bad movies together, they were mad at me for like a day. I had a friend who wouldn't talk to me for like an hour or two after this.
The fact that they actually stayed and they didn't just leave. There is a really funny shot though when Leprechaun like blows up in outer space. So he gets sucked out of the the exit doors into space.
Yeah.
And then all he is like pieces, and then his hand is still floating in the air and flips the bird. I thought that was pretty funny. Although I think I
How
thought
does he get to the hood from here? I forget like the story of how he
maybe
gets there.
the hood would take place before this, wouldn't it?
I guess that's true. So it's a prequel.
I haven't watched it, and I don't plan on watching it. Although I'm sure
I have watched it, although I
since-
have not seen Back in the Hood.
Since you said you wouldn't mind doing this podcast forever, you'll probably eventually pick it, which makes me want to quit the show right now. But apparently, maybe they will explain that is. I'm sure there's somebody who writes for the franchise or produces it, and was adamant about saying, "Come on, you gotta mention something about him in space, just so the older fans can't be left out." And then the director going, "Shut the fuck up," So I mean, what did you think of the deaths of the film?
In the Hood one, I really felt bad for the two like actors in it. Because there's like these two black dudes want to be like rappers, and they're good actors.
Was it Coolio and Ice Cube, or
I don't remember. It was years. I think that was the plot that they wanted to like make a record deal or something.
What's a better black horror film, Leprechaun in the Hood or Killjoy?
Leprechaun in the Hood.
Okay, go ahead.
Killjoy 2 is just unbearable.
Okay, I'm actually recording right now. So, if you're hearing this is the last part of the episode because the whole system exploded.
Alex's computer is it was part of what was his name? The doctor, the spider guy, Mitten Spider.
It was Mitten Spider's.
It was Mitten Spider's body, and when it got turned into a spider, it broke and stopped recording.
No, I actually had this computer since college, so that's how old this shit is.
Shit, that is really old.
So anyway, Danny, that's why we won't make any more goofy jokes if you won't hear this. So we'll just do a whole new episode version of Leprechaun 4. Anyway, so Danny, what rating would you give this film?
I'm gonna give it as far as a actual movie that is good or bad, I'm gonna have to give this movie a 3 out of 1,300.
Yeah, I'll give it a
300. Showing your glittery boobs to somebody as a means of threatening them with death.
I'll give it a 3 out of 25. Bumping into a total stranger who you hated a minute before, but now are completely attracted to. So with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Polyps.
The horror deconstruction.